video, I'm going to trace a shape from a photograph in Illustrator with the pen tool. So first I'm going to open my layers panel, and I've got one layer here. So the first thing I'm going to do is make a new layer, and this will be the layer that I draw on. So I'm going to go back to layer 1, and in the File menu, I'm going to choose Place. So File Place is not embedding a photo like you can do in Word, it's linking it. So you need to make sure that you don't move the photo that you're going to place, or that link will be broken. You'll get an error next time you open the document. So I'm going to go get an image here, get this leaf, and you can see it's sort of loaded on your cursor. So I'm just going to click and drag, and I'll get a nice big leaf. And I'm just going to go and lock that layer. So I'm going to click between the eyeball and the color block. And now I can't accidentally click on that, which is going to be key when we are tracing it. So I'm going to go up to layer 2, get my pen tool, and I will start tracing. So I always try to find a place to start where I can just plant a click and release hard point. And I also recommend zooming in a bit, definitely past 100%. So here I'm at 150. I think that'll be good for this shape. So I'm going to start here, and I'm just going to click and release. And then I'm going to look for all those spots where the curve changes. So curve changes about there, so I'll do a little click and drag. So this leaf has a lot of little bumps on it, and we want to make sure that we get those. So it's going to be a lot of click and drag points, but also not too many. So if your shape is starting to fill, just go over to the bottom of your toolbar, click on that fill square, and then click None, and that'll open it up. So we've got all these little ridges. And again, if you are someone who prefers to draw counterclockwise, especially if you're left-handed, absolutely do that. You'll just be clicking and dragging sort of in the opposite direction from me. So you're always clicking and dragging for your curve paths in the direction that you are drawing. So it's a little bit smoother here so I can have fewer points. And if you press your space bar, you can get the hand tool temporarily and move the part of the screen that you're viewing. It's a great way to navigate when you're zoomed in and doing something like this. So I'm looking for all the tops and bottoms of these little bumps, and I'm just continuing that around. So I'm going to make a tiny edit here. I don't want this little piece of stem, so I am going to trace around just the leaf part. And I'm going to include this little inlet here. And when I get to the end, I'm going to make sure I'm closing that path. And I'm going to click and drag on that point because I have a curve in there. So I'm going to tap the A key to get back to my direct selection tool. I'm going to zoom in even more, and that will let me perfect the shape of this path. So where it's showing me a little bit of the background, I'm just going to pull that in a little bit. This curve doesn't look quite right, so I'll move that point. I'll adjust the handle length and tilt. Handle's a little bit long there. And this one was not quite long enough. So for our purposes and the assignment that we have coming up, it's not critical that we're absolutely perfect on here, but part of the goal of the assignment is to get really good at accurately drawing with a pen tool. So editing that path is part of drawing with the pen tool. Again, you should not feel bad about going back and editing. If I get to a spot in the line where I can't quite get it to stick to that shape, it probably means that you either don't have enough points, you have too many, or your handles are probably too long, maybe too short. So just as a reminder, you can use your Add Anchor Point tool, and I can add points in here, so I don't need these. But if you have a section of line that has a ton of points and they're still kind of hard to control as far as getting the path to do exactly what you want, or it ends up looking like this one has a little bit of a sort of a jolty feel to it, that's a sign you have too many points. So in that case, if you get your normal pen tool back, if you hover over points, you see you get a little minus sign, and that's going to delete points. So I'm going to delete some of the ones that I added here. I'll go back to my direct selection tool, and I can move these remaining points and get them to be a better representation of that shape. So while there is a separate Add Anchor Point tool now, you can use the regular pen tool to delete points. So I'll hold my spacebar down and keep moving along. So this point where I started is my only hard point in here. I'm going to zoom in even more. And it has one handle because I clicked and dragged when I finished, but that's always going to leave sort of an odd angle, and this leaf is a completely organic shape. So that point doesn't have two handles on it, which I think I need to make this shape right. So rather than delete it and try to redo it, I can go to my pen tool and click and hold on it and get this anchor point tool. The anchor point tool is basically a converter. So right now I have one handle and one non-handle side. If I click on this once, it will go to just a no-handled hard point. And if I click and drag on this point, again, I'm going to make sure I'm dragging in the direction that I drew the shape. If I drag in the wrong direction, I'm going to get that kink in my line. So I'm going to click and drag in the direction that I've been drawing, and now I have two handles on that point. So that's your anchor point tool. That will convert one type of point to another, or one of those sort of half and half points you get when you start and close a path a different way, to the type that you want. So this is looking pretty good. I'm going to zoom out, and I'm going to press Shift X. That's going to swap my stroke and fill, and now I have a silhouette of that leaf. And if I hide my photo layer and go to my selection tool, I've got this shape and I'm ready to proceed and work with it.